music makers. My name is Leon Harrell. Welcome to In Tune. On today's show, we are going to look at our monthly easy arrangement, which is the tune They Didn't Believe Me by Jerome Kern. But before we get started, let's say hello in the chat window. If it's your first time joining us, say hello in the chat here on YouTube. Just tell me your name, the instrument you play, and where you're located. We have folks join us from all around the world. So this morning in the chat, I see David from Toronto. Good morning, David. And I see Don joining us, also from Canada, Saskatoon. And I'm sure we'll have more friends join as we get rolling this morning. This morning, like I said, I want to talk about our monthly easy arrangement. Don's letting me know we can't hear your voice as much. Let me just adjust my sound so just a bit. let's try. I did a little rearranging. Let me know if that's better. Okay, cool. And turn that music down just a touch bit there. Okay, cool. Awesome. Better. So like I said, this morning I want to talk about our monthly easy arrangement. This is something we offer for all of our patrons on Patreon. And I'm going to open up Piano Marvel this morning because that's where we're going to look at the tune. And I'm going to switch over now to that. Okay, so before we launch into the tune, let's just talk about the tool we're using right now. All right, so on this show, every week we talk about a piece of software called Piano Marvel. So here you can see it on your screen. And if you'd like to join along with us every week as we learn different tunes, you can visit our link at 1minutemusiclesson.com/toolbox. There you can download a free 30-day trial of Piano Marvel. And if you decide to continue on, it is a subscription service. There is a discount code you'll see at this link that'll get you 20% off the monthly subscription. So check that out if you're interested in that. But once you're logged into the software, you'll land on your dashboard, and from your dashboard, you can access the music library. Within their music library, there's tons and tons of music to practice or just to learn from, like method books. But what's really awesome about Piano Marvel is it's very customizable. And one of the ways you can customize that is you can upload and add your own music to the software. So that's what we've done here at 1 Minute Music Lesson. Let me not move so fast. Let me show you how I'm doing that. So when you're logged in and you're in your music library, in the bottom left-hand corner, you're going to see a button that says Create and Upload. So when I click on that, that's going to open a new window. And I'll give that a moment just to get loaded up there. Once that is loaded, we'll see some options on the screen to upload music in the form of MIDI files, XML files, and PDF files. So you can see here's the tune we're going to look at today. I've already uploaded that, but from the bottom you can choose the option to upload new song. I'm going to just edit this one just so you can see the one I've already done. Once you're uploading your own music, of course, you can give it all the information like the title, subtitle, composer, etc. Give it a genre and a metronome marking. But the important thing to know is that if you want to upload your own music to Piano Marvel, you'll need the MIDI file, which is sort of the information about the notes to be played. And you'll also need to have an XML file, which is the visual layout of the notes on the page. In addition to that, you can also have a PDF file if you want to have a little bit fancier view of the music. We'll look at that today. And you can add some extra information as well. But I'm going to go ahead and close that out and close out of the upload window. I've already uploaded this tune into my music library, and I can see that directly from my dashboard. So I'll see the cover here, They Didn't Believe Me. I'll click on that in just a moment. All right. So when we click on this, this cover here, it's going to load the tune up. All right. And I've gone in and set up a little bit of a practice mode for the stuff we're going to look at this morning. But before we look at anything, let's just take a listen to a little snippet of that. Okay, I'm just going to play a little bit. All right, and I'll stop there for right now. All right, so this is a tune, like I said, this is by Jerome Kern, and it comes from a musical. I believe the title of it is The Girl from Utah. So it's an older tune, probably written in the 30s, I think. But it's a beautiful tune, and many jazz musicians have sort of remade this. So I thought this would be a great tune to arrange for February for our patrons of our Easy Monthly arrangement. And I've added a lot of techniques here so that the music sounds really good, but it's relatively easy to play. There's not a lot of movement in the arms across the keyboard. Once you're in one spot, you sort of stay in that spot for a while. And it's also been arranged so that you can play it very slowly and it still sounds very satisfying. All right, and we'll talk about that as we go through it this morning. Okay, but some things you'll want to know if you are a patron or you decide to become a patron so you can get this tune and load it into Piano Marvel yourself. There's a couple features that come with our Easy Monthly arrangement. So one, you'll get the actual sheet music itself so that you can print it. So let's take a look at that. So in the top right hand corner, you're going to see a little PDF icon. I'll just click on that. And that's going to open up the actual printable copy of the tune. So here you just see the cover of the tune. All right, and I generally write a little thank you note to our patrons every month, so you'll see that information. But also included in that, you'll see the instructions. How do you load this into Piano Marvel if you want to use that tool to learn it yourself? All right, and then you'll see the music itself. I've laid this out to be very easy to read. Lots of generous spacing for you to write your own handwritten notes and information onto the score itself if you're wanting to really dive in with intentional practice there. All right. All right, so that's the PDF copy. You can download and print that out. And that's a part of the Easy Monthly arrangement. All right, beyond that, though, you also get the XML file and the MIDI file to be able to play it directly in Piano Marvel, which is what we'll look at this morning. So I want to take this tune and sort of deconstruct it a little bit and talk through it. We probably won't talk through the entire thing, but patrons this month, if you join our Patreon during February, I'm going to actually record a full lesson for this tune, very similar to what we're doing this morning, but without all the commentary, and we'll do the entire piece, where you'll see the hands, you'll see the notes on the screen as we go through that, and we'll talk through it section by section if you want to follow along, okay? And that's going to be for our... We have a couple levels on Patreon. We have our performer level where you'll get the files and the easy arrangement for every month. But if you're at our maestro level, you'll also get this video lesson that I'm talking about. Okay, so let's take a look at just the opening section here. We're going to do that. But before we dive into it, I like to always use my smart sight reading system before we work on something, which is... I'll throw a graphic up on the screen. Hopefully I have that prepared. All right, we'll look at the scale, the meter, the accidentals, the range, and the tempo. And we're going to keep that focused on just the excerpt that we're looking at the moment. Okay, so we're going to start with the opening introduction, which is just the first 4 to 5 measures here. All right, and we start by looking at the scale. So the scale is G major, all right, and you'll see a graphic on the screen here. I'm just going to take a moment and play through this scale, all right? So if you want to follow along with me, get your hands on the keyboard, and if you don't have a keyboard, just say the notes out loud as we're playing, and that will get you just in the habit of learning about the scale itself and speaking the pitches. All right, so I'm going to start with my thumb on G, all right, and in my left hand, my pinky on G. All right, I'm going to do this scale. We'll do 1 octave and then 2 octaves. All right, and as we go through it, let me know if you have questions. We'll chit-chat in the live here. All right, and I do see very quickly, David asks, when printing... Oh, I lost my screen. Where'd it go? When printing, do we have to... Do we also print the first non-music page? Oh, do you have to print the cover and the thing? No, you don't. You can print any pages you want. That's a good question, David. Thanks for asking. Okay, cool. So let's take a look back at the scale. And pardon me, my little window has moved. Where did my window go? Okay, there it is. We're going to take a look at the scale. All right. And we'll play that 1 octave, then 2 octaves. Okay. So here we go. And very slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. We'll play the scale going down, starting with G, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. All right. You'll notice the graphic on the screen here just below me, and you'll notice that one of those little levers, there's a lever for each letter of the alphabet, G, A, B, C, D, E, but the F sharp is red and it's tilted. All right, and then we'll repeat the G at the top. When I'm sight reading and when I'm playing through scales, I like to think about the accidentals as actually being levers on the keyboard. So if you can take a look, I use these little paper cutouts to help point that out. Anytime we're playing a scale, it's always going to have the same 7 letters, the first 7 letters of the alphabet. But depending on the scale, we're going to have different letters altered to be sharps or flats. So in this case, I like to think of the scale as all the white keys. All right, but if you imagine a lever above each key, just like we have on the screen there, all right, the lever can either point straight down to the white key, all right, it can turn to the right, to the sharp, or it can turn to the left, to the flat. So we might have F natural in the straight down position, F sharp in the right position, all right, and F flat, which is also E, in the tilted to the right position. So in the graphic here, you can just see that just the F is sharped in the scale, and I have it tilted off to the right, just to help you sort of visualize that type of thing. Okay, so we're going to do the scale one more time. We'll do it a little bit slower. All right, and if you're doing this, all right, in your right hand, you want to make sure you cross over your thumb on the C. All right, so as you come back down, your thumb is on C, that's where we cross over. All right, and your left hand, your crossover is on E. All right, so we'll go cross over your third finger on E. All right, coming back down, G, F sharp, E, cross your thumb under on the D. I'll warm up just a little bit more with 2 octaves. So generally, before I sight read something, I'll play at least 2 octaves of the scale. All right, so before we dive into the tune, if you are interested in Piano Marvel and you're not aware of it, it actually has an entire scale program built into it. You'll find that within the library. The title of that is Scale Ninja. All right, there's a beginner, advanced, and a pro. And what we just looked at was from the beginner, major scales, G major. All right, practicing right hand or left hand or both hands together, which is what we just did, both hands. And you'll see the numbers of the fingers. 1 is your thumb, 2, 3, 4, 5 is your pinky. All right. All right, and you'll see the same thing we just went through. So that's in Scale Ninja. This is in the beginner series. Okay, but switching back to our tune, we're going to take a look at that first 4 measures. All right, and that's going to be, pardon me, we're going to jump back to here. All right, let's take a look at that first 4 measures, and I'm going to just do the intro, and I'm going to break this down using what we talked about last week, which is the 3 dimensions of music. Okay, so I'm just going to take a moment to read through just the right hand of the first 4 measures, and we're just looking at the pitches. We're going to disregard the rhythm completely. Okay? All right, I'm going to do this in prepare mode because when we do this in prepare mode, Piano Marvel doesn't care what rhythm we play. It's only caring about the right pitches. So I'll play both hands, but I want you to just focus on the right hand only. Okay, so we've got F sharps in octaves. All right, so 3 of those in the first measure. Then E in octave, 3 of those in the second measure. E, E, E. All right. Next measure, D's in octaves. All right, to D flat. All right, and now we have an arpeggio starting on a C octave, A, G, E, C, A, G, D, landing on a C major chord spelled from G on the bottom, D in the C in the middle, E on the top. All right, and as soon as we hit our last note, it'll bring up our little progress report to tell us, oh, this is how well you read the notes, etc. Okay, let's do the same thing, but now we'll talk through the left hand. All right, so we'll do it again in prepare mode. All right, you'll notice your left hand starts out in the treble clef. So when we're looking at piano music in particular, the top line is the right hand. The bottom staff, the bottom line, is the left hand. Usually, the top line is the treble staff, meaning like the treble or higher range of the piano. And usually, the bottom line is the bass clef or the bass staff, and it's the bass range of the piano. But it doesn't always have to be that way. Depending on what you're needing to do with the music, your left hand may be playing music that's up in the treble range. And when it is, we have the treble clef on that left-hand line, that second line. All right, and that's just so we don't have lots of ledger lines to read. But we're starting this out on a G and a D, a perfect fifth in the left hand. All right, we'll hit that 3 times. Then we'll shift down to G and C 2 times. We'll add in an E in the bottom, an A, and a C. All right, so on the last beat. Then the next measure is B, F sharp, A. All right, everything shifting down by a half step in all hands here. All right, that's called planing. All right, so we shift down a half step 2 times from that first B chord to B flat to A. All right, now we're going to play our arpeggio in the right hand just to keep it moving. All right, and then we move our left hand down to D and land on the D. So we really talked about this just looking at the first dimension, which is pitch. So pitch is our vertical axis of the music. Okay, now let's look at the rhythm. All right, the rhythm is really not terribly complicated, but let's look at measure 1 first because the rhythm repeats 3 measures in a row. All right, so we're in 4/4 here, which means there's 4 beats in a measure, and each beat is equivalent to a quarter note. So on every quarter note, we'll count a number 1, 2, 3, 4. 4/4 is considered a simple meter. And if you don't know what that means and you're very interested in learning how to read music, but maybe you've struggled over the years to learn how to do that, I actually have a book called How to Read Music Easily in 30 Days. I go through really from the beginning stages of how to read these pitches, how to read these rhythms, all the way through how the chords work, and lots of advanced sight reading techniques. So if you're interested in learning how to read music better, check out our book, 1minutemusiclesson.com/book, if that sort of thing appeals to you. But in that book, I talk about the difference between a simple meter and a compound meter. And in this case, 4/4 is a simple meter, meaning that the beat, the quarter note, divides into 2 equal pieces, which is the 8th note. And on that division, we say the word and. So when we count the first measure, we're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2, and it continues on past that in measure 5. Okay, so we've looked at the pitch, the first dimension of music, the vertical. We've just looked at the rhythm, the horizontal dimension of music. And now let's think about the third dimension, the depth. All right, so the depth is the dynamics or the articulation, the phrasing, what makes the music really come alive when you perform it. Okay, so this particular music we're looking at here in Piano Marvel, I haven't bogged you down with all the extraneous details of dynamics and shaping and all that, because in Piano Marvel, the tool itself can't tell you, how loud or soft you're playing. But in the PDF edition, you'll see all that extra information added to the PDF. So if we just look at this opening phrase, it tells us, let's start this out super soft, pianissimo, 2 Ps. All right, and let's keep it quiet all the way through. As we do that, we may want to add a little bit of shaping to our downward arpeggio here. We can sort of make that a little louder and then pull it back a little bit softer. But let's take a listen to it now. Putting everything together, the pitch, the rhythm, and now adding in a little bit of dynamic shaping. All right, so here we go. I'll just play that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can play around with that. There's not a lot of information to work with here. It's just telling you, in general, keep it pianissimo, keep it quiet. But that dynamic does come back up a little bit when we start in on the verse. Okay, so as you work your way through this tune, or any tune, that is a great way to practice. Practicing the pitch first, just to get your hands comfortable and coordinated on the keyboard, and get you reading the notes properly, the pitch of the notes properly. Secondly, go through and practice the rhythm. So if this tune, if you're looking at this thinking, okay, I'm not ready to tackle a tune this complicated, when you practice your rhythm, you can just practice it clapping. Well, how could you do that with Piano Marvel? So let's say we just want to work on those first 4 measures. And we want to clap along with the rhythm. So I'll do this in assessment mode this time.
1, set, go.
And I'll count it. I'll count along with it. So you'll hear the music play automatically. All right. And I'm just going to make that a touch louder. All right, just so we can hear the metronome as well.
1, 2, set, go.
1 and 2, 3, 4, 2 and 2, 3, 4, 3 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I was a little off there. Let me try that one more time. I'm going to slow it down just a hair.
One, two, set, go.
1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, and it'll stop right there for that excerpt. Okay, so if you need to practice the rhythm just clapping alone, no hands on the keyboard, that helps you stay focused, so you can really be focused on that horizontal dimension of rhythm. Okay? All right, so let me know in the comments, do you have questions or comments about that? So what we're trying to put together right now is standalone lessons for tunes like this, and I'm curious of your input on a couple different things. Is looking at this through the 3 dimensions useful for you? And beyond that, do you like the particular layout of the screen here? Because I think this is the layout we'll do our recorded lessons using. And in particular, I have the option of seeing the hands with the notes above the keyboard. Or we have an alternate option, which I'll do for our second excerpt here. I'm going to hide our real keyboard and take a look at our virtual keyboard. All right, so while you're taking a moment to comment or let me know on the live stream, I'm going to move into our second excerpt, which is the opening verse of the tune. All right, so after we've come down from our arpeggio, we'll land here right on the verse. And Don, I see your comment rolling in. I really like both the structure and the layout. Awesome, thanks. Good information to know. Okay, so we're going to look at this verse from measure 5 down to 13. All right, doing the same thing. So we're going to start with the pitch, then we'll do the rhythm, and then we'll add in some shaping to that. David is saying, notation slightly different between 2 versions. Let me know if you mean the 2 versions between the PDF or the Piano Marvel version, or if you mean something a little bit different, David. And then we'll take a look at that once I get some clarity on what you mean. Okay, so let's take a look at these first couple measures. I'm just going to play them so you can get a feel for the sound of that. Oh, sorry. All right, and then it stops on the next measure. Okay, good. David comments PDF and Marvel. Yeah, let's take just a slight look at that. So notation slightly different between the 2. The notes and the pitches should all be identical, but if we take a look at the difference between the 2, the spacing is definitely different. I can't control the spacing in Piano Marvel, so Piano Marvel will just sort of algorithmically generate the notation, but it won't allow you, as the composer or arranger, to really specifically change the spacing of notes. So the spacing of the notes is much different in the printed version. And for me, whenever I'm looking at sheet music, especially as a beginning music reader, if you are one, it's really important to have space to write handwritten notes and memos to yourself. So that's definitely different. And David says, oh, the rhythm in the first bar. Oh, actually, the rhythm is the same here. It's notated a little bit differently. You bring up a good point. I think I actually did not upload my newest version of this for my example this morning. So I think that the download patrons will be literally identical. But you bring up a good point. That rhythm looks differently, but mathematically it works out to be the same. But heads up, patrons, I think your version of this looks exactly identical to the Piano Marvel one. Good comment there. Thank you for pointing that out. So let's take a look at this. We're going to look at the pitch dimension for those first couple measures. And we're going to start with the right hand. So let's take this in prepare mode. Okay, and I'll play both hands, but we're just focusing on the right. Okay, so we're starting with our thumb on G, finger 3 probably on C, and pinky on E. All right, and I'm not overly concerned what fingers you use to play. This is just what sort of naturally falls in the hand. All right, so we've got our first chord, which is a C major chord. And then we've got D, E, G, C, E, A from the bottom. And then repeating that. All right. D, F sharp, C, and E from the bottom. So C and E in the right hand. And a repetition. A, B, G, A, B. And we've got D and F sharp below that repeating. B, B, C, D, with an F natural and D below it, supporting that with the harmony. C, E, and A in the right hand, repeating. A, C, E flat, and A. Listen to the sound of that. All right, that's a D flat 9 chord. C, E flat, and A. Moving to B, C. Back to our G chord, A, B, and D in the right hand. All right, so we'll stop there for now. So looking at the pitch alone. Let's take that same example, looking at the left hand. Okay, so now we've got, starting with D in the bass, D in octaves, A and G, D and F sharp, G and F sharp, B and A, an E major chord, E, G sharp, B, in the left hand, A and G, D and A, G and F sharp. All right, and we'll stop there. All right, so we've gone through the pitches, and like I said, when you're doing your first dimension of pitch, we're not worried about the rhythm. In this last example, I mean, I'm playing pretty close to the rhythm, but I'm stopping and talking a lot in between. But when we do the rhythm layer, we want to pay really close attention that we're not altering the rhythm. All right, so when we're looking at this, we're starting on a dotted quarter, all right, which gets 1.5 beats. So we're counting 1, 2, and is when the next note comes in. So 1 and 2 and 3, 4 for that first measure. So our dotted quarter is 1.5 beats. All right, the other rhythm we have in here that may be tricky for a newish reader is our quarter note triplets. All right, I think the easiest thing to do here, I think the easiest thing would be to count 3 la li. Technically, that would be just the rhythm of beat 3, but these are really simple quarter note triplets, and it's not hard to feel that correctly. So let's take a listen. I'll say it out loud as I play it. All right, so when we get to the spot, listen for 3 la li. All right, so here we go. I'll do it from the starting from here to there. All right, so 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, la, li, 1, 2, 3, 4, and stopping there, okay? All right, so I think that's the easiest way to count that out loud. Okay, so looking at the left hand, because the right hand, we just really did all the counting for that. The left hand is very simple, so it's almost all whole notes and half notes here. All right, so we're just holding 4 beats for each whole note. And then 2 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the half notes. Back to 4 beats here, and then 2 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so when you're practicing that yourself, given that, maybe you're not ready to coordinate your hands and the counting and the clap, like everything all together, utilize Piano Marvel to help you with that. So we're going to go through this time counting just the right hand melody, the top note of the right hand. All right, but we're going to use Piano Marvel to play for us. So I'm going to highlight the section I want to practice. All right, I'm going to click Assessment because the assessment mode allows Piano Marvel to be the driver of the tempo, and it plays the accompaniment along with you, which is just the tune itself in this case. All right, so we'll clap the top melody line rhythm and count it out loud. All right.
1, 2, set, go.
1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, lolly. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, lolly. 1, 2, 3, and it'll stop there wherever we've highlighted the section. Okay, so we've gone through the counting, we've gone through the pitch. Let's talk a little bit about giving that some dynamic shape. Okay, when we're looking at this for dynamic shape or just giving it a little bit more musicality, our third dimension is really the depth itself, which can mean a lot of different things. But some things you want to think about are keeping the melody line smooth and connected, so legato. And how do you do that as a pianist, or I mean even on another instrument? You want to think about really connecting note to note to note. So the easiest way to do that, and I'm going to switch my camera back to the live piano hands here. You want to practice it without the pedal. All right, do not use the pedal when you're trying to practice legato playing. And the reason you do that is that if you disconnect the notes, the pedal won't make up for it. So if you hold the pedal down while you do it, it blurs it all together, and it doesn't matter if you lift your hands off the keys. And that's not wrong. It's fine to play it that way, but for the purpose of intentionally practicing legato, you don't want to use the pedal. So when you're doing this passage or any kind of legato passage, you want to keep the fingers pressing the key down the full duration of the note. So I'm going to do it kind of slowly just so you can see it and watch my hands. All right, but the key thing to think about is I never want the bottoms of my finger, the skin of my fingers, to leave the keyboard. I should always be feeling my hand touching the keyboard the whole time. A good way to prevent yourself from sort of accidentally doing it and training yourself to get in that mindset is just take your left hand, we'll do the right hand only, put it around your wrist to hold your wrist steady. So when it's on the keyboard, we're not tempted to just jerk our hand up. That's the real temptation you'll feel. All right, so I'll put my hand here, keeping my other hand just wrapped around it, holding it steady. Okay, and I'm just going to play that top line melody just for an example. All right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, lolly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, lolly, 1, 2, and we'll stop there. All right, so that's just playing the melody line, which is a great place to start if you're relatively new to the idea of playing legato. It gets a little more difficult once you add the chords in. But let's say you're ready to add the chords in. I want you to think about your right hand as having two sort of sections to it. So thinking about a line that divides your pinky and finger 4, all right, from fingers 3, 2, and 1, your thumb through your middle finger, all right? So imagine your hand is in two sections, all right, with just sort of a line down the middle. We're going to use the top two fingers to play, these top two fingers to play the melody very smoothly, but we're going to allow the bottom three fingers to come off the keyboard as much as we need to. We don't literally have to play all the notes legato, but we really have to play the melody notes legato. So as I'm doing that on the keyboard, raise your hand up very high while you're keeping your pinky held down on the legato note. And this will let you feel the difference between the two very exaggerated. All right. So as I do this, the melody is connected, and it doesn't matter what fingers you use to play the melody. Just when we have more than one note at a time, that's where we're dividing the hand. And you can hear the staccato notes in the bottom. All right, and as you do that, that'll feel very unnatural when you start attempting to do that. But the more and more you do that, the more natural it becomes, and then you don't have to be as exaggerated about it. So once we do that, it'll sound a little more like this. All right, so it's just a little bit more fluent, and there's less bouncing of the second part of the hand, that bottom part. Okay, so that is one thing to think about as you're shaping this phrase. The other thing to think about as you're shaping this is we have this triplet figure in here where we're saying 3 lolly. You can really stretch that out. It can be a little rubato, meaning that the tempo can be a little bit more flexible. And you want to think about from the starting note, this is in this measure here, measure 9. Leaning into the key. So as we play the B, we're leaning forward. And as we get to the most forward position, we'll start to lean back. So forward, leaning back. And then our hand can come right off the keyboard. So if we want to shape it a little bit, it's okay to break the legato. All right, because our pedal can help sort of cover that up when we're ready to do that. All right, so that's leaning forward into it. All right, that gives it a little bit more shape. All right, and then the second thing to think about, we can certainly shape these chords a little bit by rolling them. So giving them a slight arpeggio effect to the chord. All right, so let's take a look at that right on the downbeat of measure 5 here. All right, so I'll play that opening just so you can see what I mean by that, by rolling the chord. All right, and then I'll continue on and roll a handful of these other chords. All right, so when I say roll, all right, looking just at this chord here. All right, rather than hitting all the notes exactly at the same time, we'll roll them from the bottom up. All right, but you want to do it a little bit faster. All right, but it doesn't have to be very fast. All right, just a comfortable roll from the bottom. All right, if you want to practice that a little bit, all right, you can sort of play like a wave motion, all right, so that you only play from the bottom of the wave up to the top. All right, and that gives it a little bit of shape. All right, so I'll play the opening 4 measures. I'll land on a rolled chord, and then I'll continue and roll just a couple of these just to give it some added dimension or depth. Okay, so from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And stopping there. So when you're rolling chords, it's really just up to artistic interpretation, unless the music has specifically told you, play a rolled chord here. All right, and I don't have that added into the music, but it looks sort of like a squiggly line up the side of the chord. And you don't find that often in printed sheet music for like popular tunes or jazz tunes like this. You will find that in classical music, where the composer's being very specific. Oh, roll this chord, don't roll that chord, that type of thing. Okay? So that's looking at the pitch, the rhythm, and the dynamics or the expression, that third dimension for our opening verse. Let's finish up this morning's lesson with looking at a little bit from the bridge here. Okay, we'll play from here to here, which is measure 13 through 21, the downbeat of 21. Okay? All right, so same thing. Pitch, rhythm, expression. So let's look at measure 13. All right, so getting our hand in position. Let's get our pinky on the E at the bottom, our B, our finger 2 in the left hand on B, and our thumb on F sharp. Now you will notice that that is quite a stretch in the hand, and as you play it this way, you might feel a little bit of tension in the hand. Okay, but remember, it's not all played together, so it's not literally stretched out, but it's good to just get our hand in position before we play that. And as we play it, all right, we can let go of the E and the F just to give a little more space for our thumb to reach that note and relieve the tension in the hand. All right? All right, if we get our starting position for the right hand, we've got G and B. Okay? So let's take a look just at the pitches of the right hand, first pass through. Okay, so I'll do this in prepare mode. Okay, so here we go, and I'll say them out loud as we go. So we've got G and E, a repeat of that, D, E, G, C, C and E, D and F sharp, E, G, F sharp A, D, F sharp, E, G, F sharp A, D, D, F sharp, E, G, F sharp A. We've got, this is a tricky chord here. B, F sharp, G, and B. B, C sharp, D, F sharp, D. B, C sharp, D, F sharp, D. C sharp in the bass there, to G, to B, to E in the right hand, holding over that D from the last measure in the top, moving the D down to C sharp, C sharp, E, B natural, A sharp, and then landing on C sharp, E, F sharp, and B in the right hand. And we'll stop there for the moment. Okay? So looking back over that, let's take a look at the rhythm of the right hand. All right, so I'm going to use the assess mode to do that. All right, and I'll just clap and count along with the music. Just the melody line.
1, 2, set, go.
1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and off there. All right. So those are our pitches, those are our rhythms. Let's take a look at that a little bit for some expression. So let's add in. The trickiest part of this that you'll find as you play through this is going to be measures 17, 18, 19, and 20. And it's really this suspension that's happening on the D as it moves down to the next line, resolving to the C sharp here. Okay, as I'm playing through this, for me, there's a big shift sort of in the texture of the sound right at measure 18. All right, and what I mean by that is that I'm playing the left hand very quietly, and really this bottom note D and F sharp much more quietly than the melody here, because we've sort of changed patterns. If you'll notice the left hand, all right, we have this sort of rolling arpeggio-like accompaniment, but it switches back just to sort of a quarter note accompaniment here, just a straight quarter note. Okay, so when I'm reading through this and I'm ready to shape that a little bit, I want to think about that shift in dynamic. So it might sound something like this, starting at measure 13. So I might choose to get suddenly quieter there, all right? And all of that's up to artistic interpretation. There's no right or wrong. It's just what you choose to do, and that's why we save that for sort of the third pass through the music. Okay, let's finish up this morning by looking at a little bit from the left hand, this passage here, 13 through 18, all right? And then we'll cap it off for this morning. Okay, so starting on that E, all right, looking at the pitches. All right, here we go. We'll do that in prepare mode. And E, B, F sharp. And then A, E, A, D, A, F sharp, F sharp, B, F sharp, B, E, B, E, F sharp, G, and then we'll stop there for now. All right, and looking at that rhythm for the same passage, all right, I'll do it in assess mode.
1,
and clap.
2, set, go.
1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, off. All right, and when we're thinking about adding that third layer of expression to this, take a look at the pattern. Sort of look at what the notes are doing, and you'll notice they're all going from the bottom to the top. They're arpeggiating, all right? And we're just repeating that several times. And when we're doing an arpeggio, looking at this example here, you want to think about the landing spots or the target spots. And what I mean by that is, where is your pinky going to land? Because really, it's the bottom note of the chord, and in most cases of music, that is establishing the harmony or giving us the harmonic foundation. So when I'm reading through this, pay really close attention to where your pinky is landing, because the rest of the notes will fall more easily under the hand, versus where the pinky land is usually the less intuitive place to hit on the keyboard. Okay, so looking at that, just thinking of some shaping, try playing out the pinky the loudest. So to do that, you might want to exaggerate, play the pinky as loud as possible and the rest of the fingers as quiet as possible, just to get you accustomed to making the bass note ring out a little more. So it might sound like this. So when you put that together, of course you don't need to be that exaggerated, but when you're practicing it, really, if you practice it that way by being much more exaggerated with the pinky, you'll build up a little bit more muscle memory for the pinky each time you do this exercise. So we'll wrap up by putting those hands together with all 3 dimensions. All right, and I'll do that in prepare mode just so I can control it a little bit better. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Oh, sorry. All right, and I'll tell you, this chord here, this is the trickiest one because it's not what you expect to happen. I keep expecting it to be B, E, F sharp, B. But it's B, F sharp, G, B. All right, David asked a quick question here. You're using pedal there. Yes, I am using pedal as I play through this, but you can certainly practice this without pedal. So I'll do that same excerpt one more time without pedal. All right, and it's always good to practice without the pedal so that you're getting your hands to do the legato work for you, and you only use the pedal when it's absolutely necessary. All right, so looking at that same passage, I'll do it without pedal at all. Sorry, one more time. So you can tell without the pedal, it has gaps in the sound. You can't physically do it without the pedal to make it all work. So when you add your pedal back in, we're really only changing the pedal once every measure. Okay? And we just want to be light with the pedal. If you're playing a real acoustic piano, your pedal, you don't have to press it all the way down. You can just sort of press it a little bit and it'll smooth it out and sound wonderful. If you're doing a digital piano, there really is only an on or off position. So it doesn't matter if you press the pedal halfway. It's either on or off for the digital keyboard. Okay, I'll put one last time with pedal. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And I'll stop right there. Okay, so you can hear the pedal really fills out the harmony quite a bit. Okay, so that's going to be it for this morning. Do let me know in the comments, or if you're catching us on the replay, did you like this style of lesson? So this is what we're trying to work on this next month, is putting together recorded lessons in this style. And as a result of that, we're going to take a short break from our live stream every week. So I haven't decided fully, is it going to be, are we live streaming every other week? Or we may just take the month of February off for our live stream, but we'll still be making content, putting out videos every week. But it's the feedback you guys give us is really what helps us tailor it to meet your needs the best. So let's see. I see a little bit of comment coming in here. David says, you really brought out the beauty of this piece. Thanks. Yeah, thank you, David. I appreciate that. And then Don saying, this was great. Very helpful. Thanks. Thank you, Don. So again, if you're catching us on the replay, let me know in the comments what you think about that. As we wrap up today's show, we talked a lot about this morning about our monthly easy arrangement, which is available to our patrons. So if you're interested in that, you can visit oneminutemusiclesson.com/support. And as always, in every episode, I like to say thank you to our patrons. You are what's helping us achieve our mission to teach music literacy to the world, which is really the skill we're working on every morning. We do our In Tune show, which is musical literacy. So if you're interested in that, check out oneminutemusiclesson.com/support. You can learn how you can support us in many different ways. It's not all financial, but in particular, if you're interested in today's sheet music, that is available to our patrons. So check us out there. So that's going to be it for today's show. Hey, DC Sharp, I see you there. Good job. Thanks so much for your comment. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you all so much for joining in, and I will see you next time, probably not next week, on another episode of In Tune. Take care, guys. Have a great day. Have a good one. See ya. Bye.